Socialisation with humans is a really important part of our puppy's socialisation picture during their critical socialisation period. Now, it's really important though that we do this correctly, because if we socialise our puppy incorrectly with people and children, we can actually do quite a lot of damage and we can end up with a fearful or fear-aggressive adult dog later down the track. The other thing that can go wrong is we can slide to the other end of the scale where we end up with a dog that's so overexcited and so over aroused by the presence of other people that they're jumping all over them, barking at them, demanding attention from every person that they see, and we end up with a really rude, demanding, out of control adult dog down the track. So if we've got a puppy that's quite confident with people, that's fantastic. What we want to do then is start to teach them some manners and how to rein in that overexcitement and enthusiasm that they have. So it's really important that we don't allow our puppy to greet other people and have cuddles and be patted and receive that reward of attention from other people unless our puppy is calm with 4 feet on the floor. So anytime your puppy starts jumping up at visitors or strangers, it's really important that we instruct that stranger or that visitor to ignore the puppy. Now, you might need to actually have that puppy on a lead during these interactions so that you can actually hold that puppy back from jumping on the stranger. The other thing that you can do is just pop your foot on the lead. So if your puppy's sort of jumping, trying to get at that person, if we just pop our foot on that lead, that puppy will try jumping, but they're going to give themselves a little leash correction every time that they jump, and they'll soon decide, hang on, jumping's not a good idea here. And it gives them the opportunity to learn quicker that once I get my 4 feet on the ground and settle, that's when I'm going to get the attention and the pats from that person. Now, when that person bends over to pat the puppy, as soon as that puppy starts to try jumping and getting excited, it's important that they just say no and they withdraw again and ignore the puppy. And you continue to repeat that process until that puppy can be patted without jumping and getting all overexcited. Now, visitors and strangers can be super over arousing for our puppies. So once that puppy gets 4 feet on the floor, I would suggest that you wait for at least sort of 5 to 10 minutes of that puppy being calm and not jumping before you allow that visitor or that stranger to interact with your puppy. If you're out and about meeting people in the street, then you're probably not going to have the luxury of having that much time, and in that case I would just not allow the person to greet the puppy at all, and your puppy will be learning that they don't get to have cuddles and pats from every single person that they meet, and they will start to learn to become calmer and just wait patiently rather than getting excited and jumping. But if we just let our puppy get greeted by everybody and they're jumping all over them and so on, then that is the behavior that you're going to continue to reinforce. And while it might seem cute now, while you've got maybe a 3-kilo puppy or a 5-kilo puppy, it's not going to be so fun or so cute. And it can even be dangerous if that puppy's growing up to be a 10, 20, 30, 40 kilo adult dog. If you keep rewarding and reinforcing this behavior now while they're a puppy, that's the behavior that you're going to have in your adult dog. And then we're going to have to deal with that later down the track. Now, if your puppy's at the other end of the spectrum and they're quite timid and scared and lacking confidence around other people, the worst thing that you can do for that puppy is try to make them meet lots of different people. And you will be given that advice by very well-meaning people, but unfortunately, that is what's going to make your puppy more scared, more timid, and more likely to become fear aggressive down the track. So Signs to look out for is if people are approaching your puppy or trying to pat your puppy and you notice that your puppy is cowering or their ears are back, lowered body language, tail between the legs, or you might have the puppy that keeps trying to hide behind you, then that's your puppy trying to communicate to you that they are not feeling safe and that they are feeling threatened by that person. Now, it doesn't matter how well-meaning that person is. Coaxing the puppy, reaching out to them with food, sweet talking to them, bending down over to them, the puppy is going to see all that behavior as hugely threatening. So what's threatening to a timid dog is eye contact, reaching or leaning over into their personal space is going to threaten that puppy. Talking to them is all going to be perceived as threatening, and every time you put your puppy in that position and force somebody to meet them, you're going to keep reinforcing to that puppy that people are threatening and scary. Eventually what happens to some of these puppies that keep being forced to meet people in this way is that they get older, and one day they get to the point where they realize, hey, look, I've done everything that I can to try to tell you that I'm not comfortable with all these people. I've given you all the body language to communicate this. You as my owner keep ignoring all my communication. So now I'm left with no other option to protect myself other than to growl or bite or snap. So when your puppy or your adult dog reaches that point and they have their first growl or snap, guess what happens? Usually most people instantly back off. So your puppy starts to realize, oh, hang on. So the body language means nothing, the body language doesn't work, but if I growl or snap or show aggression, that will either make you, my owner, pull me away from that person, or it will make that person back off me. So the puppy starts to realize that aggression works. So then next time that puppy or that dog is put into that situation where they start to feel threatened by somebody approaching them or trying to interact with them, what do? They go quicker and quicker into the aggression. And again, it works. And every time your puppy's put into that position where they then start to use aggression to make that person back away or to make you pull them away from the person, that aggression continues to get reinforced, and then we wonder why we've suddenly got this aggressive puppy or this aggressive dog. So to socialize that timid puppy, what we need to do is initially make sure that any new people that come along completely ignore the puppy. We just first of all want to get that puppy comfortable with being in the presence of strangers and starting to trust that strangers aren't going to be threatening them and trying to touch them and pat them. They're also going to start to trust you in these situations when you stop allowing people to be interacting with the puppy and touching them. As the puppy starts to realize that the people are no threat, they're just completely ignoring them, they're not trying to look at them or touch them or talk to them or feed them food, then that puppy starts to feel a little bit more confident. You'll notice the next step then is that that puppy will actually start to approach that stranger. And this is where the puppy moves into the investigation stage, where they'll approach the stranger and start hanging around them and sniffing them and so on. Now, during this investigation stage, this is not an invitation for that stranger to interact with the puppy, talk to them, or try to pat them. The stranger should continue to ignore the puppy and allow that puppy safely to investigate them. Now, after that investigation, either one or two things will usually happen. Either the puppy will investigate and then go, yeah, not really interested in you, or don't really feel safe yet, and they'll move away. Now, if the puppy moves away, it's important that both you and the stranger respect that and allow that puppy to move away. So dogs use aggression usually to create space. Now, if we're feeling threatened or scared, there's two ways that we can create space. We can either move away and create space that way, or we can use aggression to make the threat move away. We want our puppy to start to learn that there is the option that if they're not feeling safe around that person, that they can actually move away to create that space rather than using aggression. But if that person is moving into that puppy's personal space and cornering them and providing that physical threat, that puppy doesn't have the opportunity to move away, so they have to resort to aggression. We want our puppy to learn that moving away is an option for them, and that's the option that they should choose when they feel threatened. The other thing that may happen if once the puppy does their investigation is you might notice that their body language start to relax and they start to get a bit more loose and floppy, and their face relaxes, and you notice they're kind of hanging around the stranger, trying to look like they're trying to, get attention, saying, "Hey, I'm here. Why are you ignoring me?" That's then when the visitor can carefully start to interact with that puppy. Now, it's important they don't be really sort of sudden with that interaction. So you don't want them to go, "Oh, hello," all at once, because that's probably going to scare that puppy and send them packing. So it might literally just be looking down at the puppy, "Hey, sweetie," and then withdraw the attention. Or it might be, "Hey," quick pat under the chin, and then again withdraw the attention. So it's basically going to be interact for a count of 2 to 3 and then withdraw your attention. If the puppy's looking relaxed again, the visitor or the stranger can interact again for a count of 3 and then withdraw their attention again. And just repeat that and just watch how the puppy starts to cope with that. What some people find is that on that first interaction, once the puppy looks like they're wanting to interact with the person, is that the person starts interacting and they keep interacting, and the puppy might be okay with that initially, but then as that interaction continues, that stress and pressure starts to build up in the puppy, and you might notice that all of a sudden, after maybe a few minutes or a minute of interaction, the puppy suddenly snaps or growls or cowers and runs away. So the pressure is built up because of the continued interaction from the stranger, until the point where the pressure cooker explodes and the puppy's like, "Oh, no, too much, I can't handle this," and runs off or uses aggression to make the stranger stop that interaction. So we want to avoid that happening. So, some puppies, if they're not too timid, you probably won't need to do this once they've had a bit of a sniff and investigation, and they'll be totally fine to interact with the visitor or the stranger after that. But if you do have the more timid puppy, then you will find that you might be in a situation that you notice that your puppy interacts for a little bit, but then all of a sudden they snap or run away. If that's happening to you, this is why it's happening. And to get through that, you're just going to do those quick 3-second interactions and withdraw. 3-second interaction and withdraw again. We can do that a few times and then just leave the puppy alone and let them go about their own business. And maybe you can repeat that again a little bit later if you've got a visitor over and the puppy's hanging around looking like they're wanting to interact with that visitor again. So reading and understanding our puppy's body language is really, really important. Socialization is not just about getting your puppy to meet as many different people as possible, as many different dogs as possible. There is a method to it, and there is a wrong way and a right way to do it. So a puppy that is well socialized around humans is a puppy that is just calm and relaxed around people. The puppy that's super excited, jumping all over people, trying to pull on the lead to meet the children or to meet people in the park, that is not a well socialized puppy. That is a rude unsocialized puppy. And obviously the fearful, timid, scared, barking or aggressive puppy towards humans, again, isn't a well socialized puppy. So we want the calm, relaxed, pretty neutral dog or puppy is what we're after.